this is Sarah.
And this is Rachel.
And this is the Rippah Diaries, a podcast where we rip apart, episode by episode, the Vampire Diaries. Warning, this is a re-watch podcast. We always talk about spoilers. We definitely are going to today.
Yeah, so much to spoil in this episode. Today we're talking about Season 2, Episode 8, Rose.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, which, like I said in the last episode, it should be called Elijah. So that should tell you why we have probably a lot of spoilers and so much to say. Yeah.
It's definitely, like, I don't know if a lot of people think about this as a favorite episode, but this is definitely one of my, like, favorite episodes.
Yeah.
We said this about Masquerade, too. They're probably the best back-to-back episodes, maybe ever in the series.
Yeah.
But I think I almost like this episode a little better than Masquerade in a way.
I think, again, it's like another thing where it gets just so much better on rewatch, especially if you also watch the originals. You're oh, my heart being ripped out of my chest when I see Elijah.
Literally. Yeah, it's a rewatcher's dream. The originals are just such an iconic. I think that's part of it too, is being like, oh my god, we're finally at the originals. Like,
exactly. Yeah, it's real once you see Elijah.
Yeah, this is like what I've been waiting for in this podcast. It's like, when are we getting to the originals?
Yeah. When are we doing our spinoff of the originals? Yeah.
Love them. Yeah. So we'll jump right into it where we left off with Masquerade, which is of course that Elena was kidnapped at the end of the Masquerade, and we see now what's happened. She's in the back of a trunk. Classic.
Of course. Yeah.
And she's getting traded from like the person who kidnapped her car into this other like fancy like blacked out car.
Yep.
And clearly a vampire is in that car and has compelled this person to kidnap Elena and give, her to him. And, notably, he's, like, in this dark car, hat on, gloves on.
Sunglasses. Yeah.
Clearly a vampire without a daylight ring. That's, like, the clear indicator here. And it's funny because I always thought that Trevor, who is the person in the car, was the one who had kidnapped Elena.
I thought that too. I think we even said that in the last episode. And then I realized, wait, he compels someone to do it. Yeah. Yeah,
it's as good as him being the kidnapper.
It is him, but yeah.
He compelled this random guy to do it. But it wasn't him. I always forget that for some reason.
Yeah.
Which makes a little bit more sense too, why that person looked at Katherine, but like... it didn't change anything, because I was like, wouldn't Trevor be like freaked out if Katherine was there? Like, wouldn't that kind of change things?
Yeah.
But like, this random guy probably didn't even know about Katherine.
Yeah, he was probably like, okay, whatever.
He was like, that's my target. And he got lucky that he got the right one.
Yeah. That's true. I never thought about that. Imagine he accidentally tries to kidnap Katherine. He's dead.
Just dead.
Instantly.
Yeah. That would have been great, but that's not how it happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's what happens in this scene, is they just get transferred. And I will say, I'll talk about this more in the next one too, but I really like this idea of like the vampires who don't have daylight rings and like how they get around. And I wish we actually saw more vampires who didn't have daylight rings, because it's an interesting scenario. It's interesting to see how they travel and how they live, and they do it more in originals. I will say there's like kind of a big plot point of vampires who don't wear daylight rings.
Yeah, that's true.
In originals. But in Vampire Diaries, like, this is kind of the only time we get it.
Yeah, pretty much everyone in the Vampire Diaries has daylight rings, just because they've lucked out. They have Bonnie.
Yeah, this is like the only storyline in which people don't. And I think it's a clear indicator at this idea of like, this whole thing is about the sun and the moon curse, which is supposedly...
Yeah, it's supposed to be a big deal. We're trying to make it seem like it's more than it is.
Yes. So that's where we've started this episode off. And then off of that, of course, we see at the Gilbert house, Jeremy is getting ready for school. He's in the, the bathroom that they share.
Their shared bathroom. The bathroom he shares with Elena. Yeah.
And he's getting ready. He kind of calls out to her. I don't know, to see if she's ready. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And he opens her door and she's not in there. Her bed doesn't look like slept in. Like, everything's all like clean, as if she was just not there. So like, clearly she's not home.
Yeah.
Little interesting little.
Yeah. Jeremy's like
starting to realize.
Yeah.
But not fully.
Yeah, exactly. And then also getting ready for school, we see Caroline sort of like looking in the mirror talking. We see Damon behind her, and she's explaining, everything that went down with Tyler. She's saying Sarah like attacked Tyler, just recapping what happened at the Masquerade.
Yeah.
And Damon is, of course, interested and wants to know more about what Tyler knows. So they get into like, talking about that a little bit. And, Caroline basically says she thinks he knows nothing. Like, she accurately deduces that he's pretty much alone in this.
Yeah, that he's clueless. And you can tell in this conversation that she has a lot of sympathy for him, that she's very much like, he's alone. And Damon goes, did you see his eyes turn yellow? And she was like, it was more like an amber.
Yeah, it was cute.
It's so funny how she's like, I don't know, she's kind of, she's very sympathetic to him. I don't know if she's like warmed up to him more than like she was as a human necessarily, because they've always been like friends.
Yeah.
But like, at least on her end, Tyler's really changing his vibes this episode.
Yeah, Tyler will change a lot. Yeah.
But, you know, she's sympathetic towards him, and she's kind of just looking at him as like a person that, like her, is like just being thrown into this whole situation that she doesn't really understand, just like he didn't. She didn't, he doesn't. So.
Yeah, exactly. And because she's so sympathetic to what he's going through, she tells Damon as she's like about to leave for school, I'm gonna go talk to him, and I'll
ask him what he knows.
Yeah, I'll see what he knows. Why not? And sort of be there. And Damon immediately does like a little like arm grab and is like, don't like, werewolf bites can kill you, do not do it. And it's a tense moment, but Caroline's kind of like, okay. She just kind of diffuses the situation a little bit and is like, I'm going to school.
You can see she looks like a little shaken, like a little like, like Damon is pretty scary, but also it is very much just like, okay. Like,
now she's more on his level, so it's kind of like.
Yeah, she is getting on his level. No. I did write this down that it's like, I think I mentioned this last episode too, is that these two have made so much progress. Like,
I know. I was thinking that in this episode a lot.
He tried to kill her in episode 2. Like,
and he was terrible to her in all of season 1.
Yeah.
Now
they're kind of buddies. It's kind of like, he's going to her to get some information from her, and like, he's threatening her a little bit, but also he's like, I don't know. I think he's obviously more concerned for himself and for Stefan, that like if they all get exposed, they could be bit by Tyler. But like, I don't know. I think that extends to Caroline too, as being part of their little team. Their little pack.
Definitely.
So it's an interesting dynamic, these two. Also, I have to say, I thought Ian sounded sick in this scene. I don't know if that was just me, but I was like, something about his voice sounded sick. And so I said to producer Shay, who I was watching the episode with, I was like, is it just me or does Ian sound sick? She was like, he always sounds sick.
What?
I just thought that was funny.
Okay.
Just putting producer Shay on blast because I was like, does anyone else think this? I don't know.
No. I didn't notice it in this scene, and I don't think I've noticed it in general, but maybe I watch it so much that I'm just desensitized.
I definitely feel like I've noticed several scenes where he sounds sick, but like I also have heard several stories about him being sick because of like rain scenes and like just general, like, I don't know, he seems to get colds a lot. I don't know.
Sickly.
Sickly boy.
I'm not sure. I'll have to watch out for it. I feel like there is one point later on where I do remember he's sick.
It's after one of the rain episodes. He and Nina both sounded sick. They had to do some rain scene, and it's like, okay.
Great.
Clearly they both were forced to be ill.
Anyway, just a little aside. Finally, the teens have made it to school. Tyler is, he's walking through the halls. He sees there's a missing poster for Amy Bradley. They were sick for this.
They were.
Her body hasn't been found, which Damon did mention to Caroline. They were talking about it a little bit.
He's like, save your mom some time and tell her she's at the bottom of the ravine with a cracked spine.
How are they going to write that off? I have no idea.
They're probably just hoping nobody ever finds her.
I guess so. So Amy's still missing, and then Tyler also sees the memorial in the hall for Sarah, which we said in the last episode, we were like, they made it sound like Masquerade was a yearly party. Like, why did they never do it again? Because two teens died after this. After this event, they were like,
I never thought
this is bad vibes.
I never thought about that, but that's so true. If two teens die after an event, you're not doing it again.
It's like, we can't. Because I don't know how you could ever come back from that.
Because I actually don't think any other event ever resulted in anybody dying. Like in Miss Mystic, Amber, what's her name, Amber? Yeah.
Yes.
The girl
she has the whole.
She has whatever. But you kind of write it off as like, that was weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
But two girls publicly dying, best friends too.
Yeah, besties.
And one was like missing. Did they ever even find her body? I don't know. It's like,
I don't think we ever get closure. That's for sure.
It's so tragic that it's like, let's just stop doing the masquerade.
This is something went really wrong here. Yeah, let's not do that. And Elena gets kidnapped, which most people probably don't know, but still.
Yeah, still. So that's some good theorizing. That's a reason enough to not do it.
So of course they no longer do the masquerade because Tyler's looking at Sarah's memorial. And then later on, we also see Caroline looking at Sarah's memorial, and Tyler comes up to her, and is asking her, why did you cover for me? Just asking why she would step up like she did.
What do you know? Because he's freaking out. In the earlier scene too, we saw him. Somebody bumped into him, and he acted like really dramatically about it. Yeah. And then he went up to his locker and he pulled the whole lock out of the metal door. So like, Tyler's going through it. Like he's definitely not that he's not adjusting, but that. it's inherently difficult to adjust.
Yes.
So he's like telling Caroline, like, tell me everything you know, please. Like, I need to know things.
Yeah.
And she's just like being very evasive. You know, she's like not revealing too much. She's trying to be kind of, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And this is what I was saying last episode in The Masquerade, where it's like, why did she like reveal herself in that way? Because she's like, oh, I just thought I was helping you, like I was just covering for you. And he's like, no, like, how did you know things about me? Clearly meaning the healing, like that she revealed she knew he had healed immediately. Yeah. So it's like, why did she do that other than to not make him feel alone? But
I think that's the only justification I have. Yeah.
It's the only one that makes sense, because it puts them all at such risk. And so that's like what's happening in the scene is he's just like, clearly you know stuff. Yeah. Like, you know, you have to share. I'm alone in this. And she's just trying to backpedal. She's like,
she's like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
No clue.
Yeah, it's just helping out. I just thought it was really traumatizing and that I could just help you out.
Yeah, which, fair. That is sort of her reasoning. But yeah, she's clearly not giving everything and Tyler's picking up on it. But we'll come back to them. Yeah, Jeremy, also at school, goes up to Stefan and is like, basically, you gotta play it more cool if you and Elena are actually like back together, because, you know, Jeremy thinks that Elena slept over at Stefan's.
Yeah, he's like, I can cover with you with Jenna a little bit, but like, you at least gotta give me a heads up.
Be cool, you know. Yeah. That sort of thing. And then Stefan is like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, she didn't
sleep over. Yeah, no. And Jeremy says he called Carol, and Carol Lockwood said Elena's car was still at the masquerade, or still at the party.
That he jumped to calling Carol.
Yeah, why would he ever call her? Like,
I wonder, which I didn't know if he explicitly said Carol called, or if he called her, but that Carol had said.
He does say Carol said.
Maybe Carol just called Jenna and was like, Elena left her car. Oh, yeah,
that would make sense.
Like
yeah.
But still, it's just funny that they already know this info. But of course, this is plenty of info to be like, okay, something's happened. There's no way.
She's not with Stefan.
Yeah.
She's,
And there's no way she even just went and stayed with, like, Bonnie or Caroline. Why would she not take her car? Yeah. Like, it's just so odd. And so, like, feels like they actually put this together really quickly. I was kind of surprised, like. Yeah. But also, a whole night to be missing is, like, too much time.
That's a long time.
It's enough time to get her across state lines. Yeah. And this really had me wondering. I was like, how long would it take your family to realize you've gone missing? But I know your mother, and I know it would take you like 20 minutes. She'd be
15, like 5, 3. I don't know.
Yeah, but I was impressed. I was like, good for them, honestly, that it took like all of 12 hours.
Yeah, I feel like through the night is hard because once they're awake, it only takes like probably 2 hours ish.
Yes, yeah. But like through the night, you kind of just lose place. Yeah, so I was like, I'm impressed that they figured that out pretty quickly.
Fast. But
not fast enough. Nope. Because here we go. Elena's kidnapping. Cue the abandoned house, which I love this set. It's so specific to this episode. It's so fun. It's so unique. It's like, you know, we only get this house in this episode. Yeah. So it brings back the memories of this episode, I think. This like really big abandoned, it kind of looks like a mansion of some sort. Like it used to be some grand house, but now it's very like musty, dusty,
definitely moldy. Abandoned.
Yes. And so Trevor brings Elena inside. He's carrying her. She's still asleep, knocked out somehow. Mm-hmm. And he goes and puts her on the couch, and he almost like bites her. Like he goes to feed off of her. But Rose, one of my all-time favorite short-term characters, Rose, you know, tells him not to. And so Rose shows up with her Alice Cullen-inspired haircut. I love the Alice Cullen haircut.
I know. I was looking at it, and I was like, that was such a haircut of the era.
Oh yeah, that was so like the 2010s. Again, Alice Cullen. It was that vibe. We all wanted to be Alice Cullen. Yep. And so, you know, Elena tries to convince her, like, you got the wrong girl. Like, I'm not Katherine. You must be looking for Katherine. I just look like her. Yeah. You know, Rose is like not having any of it. Yeah, Rose is like, stop talking. Stop talking. Yeah. Elena's still trying to explain, like, just let me go. Yeah. And Rose ends up I've seen this scene on TikTok so many times. Rose ends up slapping Elena so hard she does a 360 spin and falls onto the couch, knocked out. Like literally.
Also, they like, what were they thinking with this blocking? They have Nina slumped, like she's like chin up on the arm, like passed out. I don't know. It's
so
just
funny. The 360 spin into that fall too is so funny. They couldn't have just slapped her and had her fall down. Like it's just so funny the way they did this. Or Rose went hard.
Yeah, she slapped the shit out of her. Yeah, so anyway, that obviously knocks Elena out for a little while. And later, we do see Elena, like, sort of come back, too.
Yeah.
While Rose and Trevor are talking about Elijah.
Yes. Yeah, she overhears them kind of talking about getting in contact with somebody, and, you know, somebody had to get in contact with somebody that had to get in contact with somebody that got to Elijah. Yeah. You know, clearly this is some big, important person that it's hard to get to. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she's just trying to listen in, and I think she's trying to sneak out, too. She kind of starts to make for the door.
Yeah.
But then Rose catches her and is like, hey, like, stop, where are you going?
I don't think so, yeah.
And Elena immediately asks, like, who's Elijah? Because, of course, eavesdrop Elena, she's gonna try to get that info.
Yep.
And so she asks, and I think at this point Rose doesn't really answer her. She's kind of just like,
she does he's your worst nightmare.
Oh yeah, she's like, he's your worst nightmare, which retroactively knowing Elijah is so funny. I'm like, he's more of like a Taylor Swift, he's your worst nightmare dressed like a daydream kind of vibe. Yeah. That's Elijah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of just like a vague, this is such an information dump episode, but I really love the way it's presented.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely build Elijah up a lot.
Oh, totally. And so this is that first moment of, this is the first time we hear about Elijah.
Yeah.
So they're, you know, trying to make a deal to be freed is also what she overhears in this scene. That Rose says that Elijah's coming so they can make a deal. Yeah. And that it will set them free. So.
Yeah, so that's where we leave it with Elena. Mm-hmm. And then we see Stefan has called Damon to the school. They are talking about what's going on. Mm-hmm. Stefan thinks that maybe Katherine had something to do with this, and he, you know, suggests that maybe Damon didn't actually put her in the tomb.
Yeah, maybe just let her go.
Yeah, maybe just let her go, which, yeah, I guess a possibility, but, you know, Damon is like,
he's like grasping at straws here, so it's like, I get that it's like maybe the only possibility that you could think of, but Damon obviously didn't. He's obviously like, no, like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
But then Damon remembers that as he was, like, putting Katherine in the tomb, that she said that Elena was in danger, that, like, somebody would come for her, but, like, he thought she was just lying.
Yeah.
And Stefan freaks out. He's pissed. He's like, how could you, like, hear that and not, like, ask a question? Like, how could you not follow up? He's like, I thought she was lying. Like, she was just trying to get out of the tomb. Yeah, it was like, that's such a fair point. Why would you believe anything that Katherine says generally, but especially if she's getting locked into a tomb and is finally just like, lost?
Yeah,
like,
no, I would write it off too.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have thought anything about it. But Stefan does not care. All he wants is Elena, and he doesn't care what Damon has to say. So he's freaking out.
Yeah.
But he's still kind of stuck on the Katherine thing. Like, that's his only answer. Mm-hmm. So he goes to Bonnie to ask her if she will help them to dispel the tomb. Like, he thinks for some reason that's the answer, is to dispel the tomb, which I think is crazy.
I guess so. I don't know. He's going to offer that they can let her out. I think that's what he says. I think he mentions that to Damon. But
why not just go open the door, ask Katherine what she knows, and see if it's like, okay, dispelling the tomb would, like, help here. Like, he doesn't even go ask her. He's like, let me just go see if Bonnie can dispel the tomb before I even bother. It's weird. But anyway, thankfully, Bonnie's like, I'm not doing that. Like, I refuse to do that.
Yep.
And I don't know if she, like, chalks that up to, like, first of all, it killed Gramps the last time they dispelled the tomb. So, like,
I think she does say that, yeah.
Yeah, she can't even do it. But also, why would you ever want to let Katherine out?
Yeah.
So it's not happening. But she does realize, or she does say that she might be able to do something else. She might be able to help in a different way. Mm-hmm. Because, of course, it's Elena. She wants to help. So they do end up going to Alaric's classroom, which just gets used for spellcasting, I guess, in his free time. I don't know. And so they meet there. Jeremy comes too, because they can use Jeremy's blood to track Elena in, like, a tracking spell, which good thing they were cousins, biologically speaking.
Yeah, that's true. They lucked out. They found out she was adopted. Yeah. Could have been. Yeah,
they would
Thankfully,
have no
it was John Gilbert.
Time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, luckily they have Jeremy, and they do the spell, and they figure out that she's about, like, 300 miles from Miss Mystic Falls. I almost called it
Mystic Falls.
Mystic Falls. Which, again, like I said, overnight, 300 miles. They took her and ran.
Yeah, they were flying. Yeah.
And I love tech expert Jeremy, because Stefan's like, that's not enough, like, that's not specific enough, and Jeremy's like, I'll aerial map it.
Yeah, we can
find
get
the exact spot.
View. Yeah.
He really is the cue to Stefan and Damon's James Bond, which I know that reference is probably going over your head, but
a little lost on me, but yeah,
hopefully someone else knows. Jeremy's cue.
Yeah.
So love tech expert Jeremy, who is gonna figure that out, but he's like, please, Stefan, like, take me with you.
Yeah, let me go. You can't do this alone.
Yeah, I can be so helpful.
Yeah.
Right, Jeremy.
Yeah, okay, Jeremy, sure. And yeah, he says, you can't do this alone, Stefan. And Damon walks in and says he's not.
Yeah.
A cute little moment there.
It is a cute moment. And Stefan's like, you're gonna come with me. And Damon says it's Elena, which is also just another cute thing where it's like, of course he has to help Elena. It feels like we'd sort of put the love triangle, the Stefan, Damon, Elena love triangle on pause the last few episodes. I feel like we haven't gotten a mention of it since like episode like 1, 2.
It's been a little while.
And I think it's kind of been because it's been diverted to the Stefan, Elena, Katherine love triangle a little bit. But there's also just been too much going on to really lean into it. But this episode is in like full swing. We are back in this Stefan, Elena, Damon love triangle territory for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And again, we see that because Damon says it's Elena, but Stefan also said that exact same thing in an earlier scene to Damon. So, like, we're seeing that their feelings are the exact same for Elena,
they
basically.
both love her, and they were both willing to die for her.
Exactly.
So, not exactly on the same page as that is Tyler. Tyler is outside the school playing basketball. He's, again, showing, like, heightened strength, agility. You know, he's, like...
He jumps, like, 6 feet off the ground.
And dunks the ball. It's like, okay. And then he sees Caroline across the parking lot, and he runs over to confront her about lying. He's like, you've been lying to me. And she continues to lie. And she goes to quickly try to walk away, and he grabs her arm, which, of course... Never grab a lady's arm when she's trying to get away from you. Not one to back down from a fight. Caroline takes that, twists his arm.
Chicken wings him.
Chicken wings. I was trying to think. I was like, I don't know what you'd even call this move.
I don't know if that's exactly what she does.
But it looks like a chicken wing move. Yeah, she like basically pins him. And then she shoves him to the ground too. Clearly revealing she's much stronger than him. And
which
he says that. He's like, you're stronger than me? So like... Shocker, because he already knows he has this enhanced strength. He pulled his lock out of the locker today. And Tyler begs her, like, tell me anything. Like, he says he's alone, and she refuses. She's just trying to, like, do what, like, Damon told her and just be, like, vague and not say anything. But, like, he's really laying it on thick. He's like, I'm alone. I don't know what to do. And so classic teenage boy, he gets pissed off and he like walks away and he kicks a trash can.
But
unlike a normal teenage boy, it flies across the parking lot and hits a car and like sets off the alarms.
Like, what's going on?
Classic.
And of course, he's clearly upset. So he later on in another scene, we see he takes this a step further. Caroline gets home to her house after school. And she starts walking through, and it seems like she can sort of sense something's going on. And Tyler sort of appears behind her, and she turns around. She's like, really? Breaking into the sheriff's house? Like, genius idea. And he, of course, like, continues to try to confront her. And he's like, I know what you are. Like, I know. He's like, he thinks he's got it all figured out. And he says, I know you're a werewolf. And Caroline just bursts out laughing, of course, because obviously Tyler is an idiot and she's not a werewolf.
So I love her little giggle too. It's like such a cute, like genuine. You're like, you see why Tyler really flipped his opinion of her. 2 episodes ago, he called her a twit
insecure,
or whatever.
Neurotic, bitchy little twit.
Now he's like obsessed with her, breaking into her house to see her.
So true.
But the laughing does not work, obviously, because she's laughing and he is pissed off about that. So he like pins her against the wall and is like, tell me the truth or whatever. Stop lying is what he says. And then a picture frame gets knocked off the wall. It breaks. It's like, okay, it's clearly the tensions have heightened. This is much more serious. And so Caroline again reacts and she like flips them, pins him against the wall, and she snarls like her vampire face at him. And she says, I'm not a werewolf. So the tables have really turned around here. It's really getting pretty serious between... She's just revealed the whole secret. She's gonna tell him everything. And again, we see like in a later scene that, they're still at the Forbes house. Caroline, you can obviously like deduce she's filled Tyler in on everything. There's a lot more info.
She gives Tyler a drink and, she says the alcohol helps. And Tyler says, I can't believe you're a vampire. So, they've clearly, Caroline's been filling him in.
She's given him some sort of info. And, like, clearly she hasn't shared everything. They're kind of comparing to, like, their things about, like, heightened emotions and feeling jittery. And, like, they're kind of comparing how things are really similar. But Caroline is lying because she says that she's the only vampire in town, that there aren't any others. And she asks Tyler how many werewolves there are. And he tells the truth. He says that he's the only one except his uncle Mason, which the fact he reveals that Mason was a werewolf is like, clearly he's telling the truth.
He's definitely telling the truth,
But he also says that Mason's not around anymore. And so you know, I think it's kind of like this weird thing where like he's being so open and like trustworthy of her, but she's like not actually telling him everything and keeping it a secret, which is further like intensified by him saying like, I'm alone, like I'm by myself here. He's being pretty vulnerable with her, I think. Like saying that, like showing at least that he's scared.
He really is. And he goes so far as to say, you know, next full moon I'm gonna turn and I have no one. I can't stop it. There's nothing I can do about it. Which also, I guess Jeremy's nothing to him because Jeremy knows. But whatever.
Jeremy doesn't really know much.
I mean, Caroline obviously understands on a different level.
That's
I just thought it was funny that
what is Jeremy going to do? Jeremy's going to pull out the Gilbert diary and be like, so Tyler, here's what it says.
He's going to draw a picture of Tyler transitioning.
But anyway, I kind of think this is Tyler's best era. Like, I feel like this is the episode I like Tyler the best in. Like, I don't know. I think there's something to like his vulnerability, to like the, you know, how open he is about being scared and he's being so honest. And like, I mean, if we're being real, everyone's best era is when they're with Caroline Forbes. Like,
obviously,
that's pretty much everyone except for Damon.
Well,
that's his worst
his actual worst era.
But other than that,
it's like the first pancake. You have to throw it out. It's like,
exactly. But this is definitely Tyler's. Like, we're entering his best era.
It's definitely like this episode, and then, you know, the whole Jules thing is stupid, and he has some like lulls in this season, but then
he's good for a while until Klaus gets too involved.
Exactly. So this is really like
his best era,
one of the best eras.
Then the two that every era I love pretty much.
No bad eras.
No bad eras. Well, except for
okay, actually,
as we just said. But anyway, Stefan and Damon are road tripping.
The segues don't always work.
Sometimes we try to force a segue too hard, and it's like actually they got some bad eras.
But anyway,
Stefan and Damon, they're in their car, Damon's car now, on the way to go find Elena. Clearly. And I love, again, how they state that, like, Alaric has this, like, pile of weapons for killing vampires and that's what they're going to use. Like, he supplied them with, like, this whole bag of weapons he just has on hand.
Chekhov's vervain bomb. Talking about all the different vervain weapons.
And I love that Stefan and Damon, both, I think, singularly, are always willing to, like, speculate and try to figure things out. And it's nice in this scene that they actually are doing it with each other. They're both kind of, like, debating who could have taken Elena. Like, what does Katherine have to do with this? You know, kind of trying to piece things together. And it's fun to see them doing it together because a lot of times they're doing it with other people like Caroline, who's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't have a theory here. But since they're together, you know, of course, speculating about Elena's kidnapping, and Katherine comes up and Damon says, well, you know, maybe they were trying to get Katherine, but they've got the wrong girl. Which I love how he says that. They've got the wrong girl. And I think you kind of see like a change in Stefan's face of like acknowledging how Damon cares about Elena. And he kind of does try to change it into this like road trip bonding, which Damon says he doesn't want to do. Because Stefan acknowledges what Damon calls the elephant in the room, that, you know, Damon loves Elena. Like, he has feelings for her, and he's not in that car, what Stefan says, to do this for his brother. He's in the car for Elena. And Damon, like, obviously wants nothing to do with it. So he's
he's like, I'll leave.
He threatens. He's like, I'm going to back out right now. And Stefan's like, here's the great thing. You can't. Like, you're not able to do that.
You're not just going to leave. Like, come on.
So, great acknowledgement of the vibes changing there between them.
We'll get a little bit more of them. But first, we see Elena, you know, she's still asking Rose a lot of questions. She's asking them, you know, what's going on and, like, who is Elijah? And Rose reveals, you know, Elijah is an original and, you know, he's, you know, she's just talking about, you know, like everything that we already know. Like, I'm having a hard time remembering a lot.
She doesn't give a lot more info here. I think she's kind of just
a little
restating.
cagey.
But I do love this scene because it kind of shows how Elena is well suited for the Salvatore brothers, because Rose just slapped the shit out of her. She was like blacked out, and now she's right up in her face asking more questions. Like, Elena is always like ready to be like sassy to the point. She will square up against anybody. She does not care that she's a human. It's just so funny. And so Elena asks her about Elijah, like you said, and like, you know, she says he's an original, which is the first time that we actually, like, I think even hear the name Originals is in this scene. So. And so then, you know, she says, she just, like, obviously Elena's like, I don't know what that is. Like, I've never heard of an original. And Rose is like, oh, the Salvatores, they aren't teaching you your history. And she's like, you know the Salvatores? And she's like, I don't know them, but I've heard of them. I had a mutual friend with Stefan, and she tried to set me up with him. But, I'm more of a sucker for the bad boys, which is a little hint at like some later stuff.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we learned then from Trevor in a later scene, they're like cleaning up the house, they're blocking out the windows or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Trevor reveals that he and Rose have been on the run for 500 years, which is crazy. And that Elena is going to be like their bargaining chip to freedom because Elena is the key to breaking the curse.
Yes.
There's a big sacrifice that needs to be made based on her. And so, you know, I don't know why they call it the Petrova doppelganger necessarily, because I feel like Katherine must be the only Petrova specifically, right? Because the doppelganger comes up so infrequently that, like, wouldn't she be the only Petrova?
Yeah, like, wouldn't Tatia have had?
She wouldn't be a Petrova.
A different last name. Yeah.
Just like Elena has a different one. But anyway, that's not to say they're like the Petrova doppelganger is what breaks the curse. I'm like, what Petrova? She's the only one.
I'm just going to chalk that one up to they hadn't really gotten that far.
Yeah, that's
in building out the backstory.
Too. That, and it's so infrequent that they're like, they just needed a name. So that's just what they started calling it. But anyway, so it's revealed that like, she is the Petrova doppelganger, and that she would be the one that would be needed to sacrifice. And of course, Elena wants to know more off of that. That's like, I need to be sacrificed? What? And Trevor explains that the originals are, he says they're the old world is his descriptor of them, which I think is a cool, it's such I like that. Cool descriptor.
Yeah, I like that description.
Yeah, they're old world. And that Trevor pissed them off 500 years ago because he helped Katherine escape from them, and that they've been on the run ever since. And, you know, Rose is like, we're not making that mistake again. Basically implying like, Elena, there's no way out of this for you.
Yeah, you're going with Elijah, like it or not. Yeah.
And we're not going to stop you because we've learned our lesson on that.
Yeah. Yes, that's pretty much where they leave that for right now. We go back to the Gilbert house for a little bit. We see Bonnie and Jeremy are sitting in the Gilbert house. They're wondering, you know, what can we do? Like,
well, and they pulled a classic, get a lark to come over, take Jenna out so that they can just do their spells. Again, I told you, I'll say it every episode. Jenna deserves to know. She deserves to know that Elena was kidnapped.
Yeah, kidnapped. She's her parent. Like, her parental figure. Guardian. Like,
No, they're
the worst.
So a lark got Jenna out of the house so we can do some magic. Like, okay, cool, Jeremy.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Anyway, Jeremy being Gilbert.
Oh my God.
Jeremy being Gilbert is at it again.
He's back.
He's like randomly looking at his home screen on his phone when the scene starts. Like, they're just showing us the home screen. It's the most obvious product placement. Yeah. And he did find the location. Like, he checked that like there was only one house in like the area that Bonnie had found. Yeah. So that must be the house. And I just think it's so funny. But I love Jeremy's Bing era being useful.
Yeah,
he's finally like actually doing something.
Finally coming to good use. He finally got past the vampire chat rooms.
Yeah, he's actually finding real info now. Yeah. But of course, much more useful than anything Jeremy could do is Bonnie. Yeah. You know, I love her, like, I don't know, I love this like cool magic era, like when she actually gets to do like fun, interesting spells. Like, later all we get is like expression. Like, I don't like that. I like this magic because she decides to do this spell to send a message to Elena. You know, they've done all they can do in sending the Salvatores to save her. There's not much else. But they're like, what we can do is send her a message so that she knows that Stefan and Damon are coming for her.
Clever.
Yeah, it is clever. And so, you know, we see her grab a piece of paper. She scribbles down a note. Jeremy goes and grabs Elena's hairbrush.
Which also Bonnie like has the idea, and she says to Jeremy, she's like, go grab Elena's hairbrush. Jeremy jumps up, like springs into action. He's like, okay, yeah, like, so he's down so bad for Bonnie, and also wants to be useful, but he's down so bad. He is down springs so into bad. Action. I'm like, whoa.
I love him.
I do too.
I'm really changing my tone on
I know.
This plot for now.
For now, I like Jeremy.
Yeah, we'll see
until he's in his cheater era.
Yeah, but we hate the ghost cheating era, but. Yeah, we love the puppy dog following around Bonnie. Yeah. So anyway, so he gets all those supplies, and she does this fun spell. And so she's doing the spell. She, like, crumples the note in her hand, and it, like, bursts into flames, and it disappears. Less fun. Bonnie is left nose bleeding.
Dripping.
Yeah, dripping blood. She's, like, shaking, and Jeremy's, like, shaking her, and she's not, like, falling out of it. And then she just, like, falls over and passes out. So I guess maybe that's why we don't get this kind of magic much, but it was fun while it lasted.
Well, it's important that like she doesn't know how to like draw on anything yet.
Yeah, that's true.
This is just her raw magic. So yeah.
But anyway, she passes out in Jeremy's bed. Later, we come back to them too, and you know, Jeremy's helping Bonnie. He gets her a glass of water. And he's like, what happened? And she explains that, like you're saying, like, there's limits to the magic. Like, there's only so much power that she can pull from. And if she pulls too hard, like, it pushes back. Like, there are consequences.
Yep.
But she doesn't want people to know that. So she's like, don't tell anybody. And he's like, Damon, which I thought was funny.
It's a little funny.
And she's like, anybody.
Anyone,
like, nobody that could possibly ever want to hurt me can know that. And so it's a nice moment, too, where they're acknowledging, like, that they both feel like alone, too. It's like, it's kind of the theme of this episode. Tyler, Jeremy, Bonnie, like, both of them are saying how they feel, like, alone in what they're going through.
Yeah.
But it's nice because I feel like this is also, like, a good foreshadowing scene in a way, because of course, like, we know it'll happen eventually in the next decade dance with Bonnie, and how, like, they're starting to drop those hints that, like, magic has limits.
There are limits.
If Bonnie pushes it too hard, like, for now she's gonna nosebleed, but, like, it could be a lot farther than a nosebleed later. And also, I think it's interesting that they chose to call out Damon, because of course what happens in that episode too, that it's interesting to, like, put Damon as this factor of, like, oh, if Damon knew that Bonnie's magic could kill her, that, like, he'd take advantage of that somehow. So I just thought it was interesting, this little scene that kind of feels like a throwaway little moment, but it's like, this really hints at what happens in the decade dance.
Yeah, that's true. I never really thought about that. That is a good, like, full circle moment on that.
It definitely is. And it's so interesting in the ways in which Damon, of course, does not fall to the things they think. But we'll talk about that in several episodes when we get there.
Yeah, definitely plenty of time for that to come up. Yeah.
For now, we do see Elena has gotten the note. She's trying to get stuff from Rose and Trevor. They're not falling for it. So she sits on the couch.
Yeah, she goes back to the couch.
And she finds the note just telling her that Stefan and Damon are on their way. So clearly, she can't do much, but the one thing she can do is make sure she stays there. You know?
Yeah.
I think that is, like, the one indicator here of, like, and that's, I think, why she freaks out partially so bad when Elijah gets there. It's like, if I'm taken from this secondary location that they know I'm at,
it's gonna be bad.
I'm gone. So I think the one goal for her now is, like, stay at that house until they get there. So that at least gives her something to do.
So now she knows they're on their way, and we see them on their way, and at this point, you know, they're getting close. Damon has some good vibey music playing. Like, I also like the song that was playing in this car before. He has some good music taste.
He does.
So he's drinking some blood, you know, like, juicing up for the big mission. He's getting ready to go, and he, like, jokingly offers some to Stefan, and Stefan is like, yeah, sure. And, you know, Damon is like, come on, you know, he thinks he's joking back, but Stefan is like, no, really, like, I want it, and takes it and drinks it. And Damon asks, you know, does Elena know about this? You know, thinking he's got him. But Stefan unfortunately has to retort. I'm like, oh, my heart. He's like, I've actually been drinking Elena's blood. Oh,
it's so funny too the way he reacts. He's just kind of, like, romantic. But clearly this kind of hurts him because,
for sure,
which this is actually interesting to call out, is that in the Vampire Diaries books, drinking blood, especially a vampire to a vampire, but, like, I think in general too, is, like, it's a very intimate thing.
They mention that when Elena turns and she has to drink.
They do mention that when Elena turns. I don't feel like it comes up a lot in this, but, like,
not really.
I do feel like it's a little implied that, like, I don't know, being willing to give your blood to somebody and have them drink up. First of all, that's such a level of trust.
For sure. Especially with Stefan.
Especially with Stefan. Elena's lucky.
Yeah, she's really trusting.
But anyway, so it's, like, interesting. And so it kind of, I think, reveals, too, why this, like, upsets Damon. That it's, like,
of course.
That is such, like, a level of intimacy that is, I don't know, he didn't want to know that. And so, you know, obviously... He's hurt. Now he's going to try to hurt Stefan.
Of course.
So he, of course, brings up Stefan's Rippah days. To which Stefan says, you mean when I was more like you? Which I was like, clearly they did not realize how far they were taking their Rippah days. Because, I mean, it's one thing, like, yes, Damon has made a lot of impulse kills. Like, you know, he's killed his girlfriend's friend, her brother. He's killed a pregnant woman. Like, he's done some bad stuff. But, like, nowhere has he ever had such little control that he killed a whole village.
He killed all of Monterey. Like, come on.
No. Stefan, what are you talking about?
Well, I think Stefan's, like, a little delulu. Like, he doesn't really... I think he blacked a lot of that out.
He's definitely... Well, yeah, he definitely has. And he's definitely in denial. So anyway, I was like, okay, Stefan, like, a little bit more like you, sure, but I don't know. So, you know, Damon brings it up how... Stefan also was the one that forced Damon to turn into a vampire in the first place. the brother tension is present.
It's high.
It is high.
Yeah.
It is very high. It is clearly like they're egging each other on. They're clearly like, just bringing up Elena didn't do much, but like this escalated now. Like,
things have really escalated. Yeah.
So back to Elena, where, oh my God, what an iconic moment. Elijah has arrived.
Moment changed my life, like irreparably. Like
I'm a different person.
Yeah, my brain chemistry forever altered.
Literally, it actually is. And so Elijah arrives at the house. At first, we don't see him. Trevor's just kind of running around, freaking out, saying Elijah's there, and he wants to run. He's like, we can still leave. We can still make it if we just go now. Like we cannot see him. And Rose convinces him to stay. She's like, if we do this, we won't have to run anymore.
Yeah, Elijah's honorable. Like he will. Yeah.
How bad would you feel if you were Rose and you convinced your best friend to stay when they desperately wanted to run, and then what happens? Like, ooh, poor Rose.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure she feels horrible.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And so they hear a knock at the door, and they realize Elijah is there. He is ready. Yeah. Now, for some reason, Elena realizes, she's like, you're scared. Elena.
Yeah, they've been scared the whole ep. But
yeah, what cues were you not picking up on? Like, you're terrified. Like... So Rose has to go get the door.
Yep.
And upstairs, we see the front door. We see it slowly creak open. And then we see standing there, perfectly polished in his little suit, is Elijah standing in the doorway. Yes. I love that man. I love that man so much.
Him.
He's the best.
He's so good.
Like, I have watched Vampire Diaries a couple times since watching the originals, since finishing the originals, I should say. And still, ever since I finished the originals, whenever I go back and watch these early scenes of Elijah, I just want to cry. Like, I'm not going to say what happens in originals because we're not trying to spoil originals. But
yeah, no.
I just want to cry. I just looked at him and immediately was like tearing up. One, because I love him, and two, because of what happens in the originals. So I was just emotional.
Stop. Topic change. You're going to make me so upset. I'm like...
We can't talk about it.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
so in this first scene, his very first scene, he comes out so strong. He immediately changes the entire vibe of the show.
He literally drops like, so what gave you the courage to call me? And things are... It's for... Like, it's serious now. Like...
Katherine did a lot, I think, to transform the vibes from season 1 to season 2, but I think Elijah like truly changed the tone of the series. For the better. And so that Elijah is just this perfect character. He walks in his suit, he's like commanding the room. Also, I have to say, did you know that Elijah was sort of like an accidental, unintentional character?
Only because you've told me.
But yeah, he wasn't really intended, and I was doing research on this for this episode.
Yeah.
And originally, they had intended to introduce Klaus in this episode. Klaus was supposed to be the one to come to the house, but they couldn't find an actor. And so, as they were writing it and realized they weren't going to have an actor in time, Kevin Williamson realized if they just switch it around and make it like just a helper, that they could get away with it.
Oh my God.
And so as they started pitching it, they turned it from a helper into a brother, and then they came up with all the crazy ideas that it became.
Yeah.
And that was how the character of Elijah was born. Like, they just created this character as filler because they couldn't find the right character for Klaus. Thank God they did. Imagine if they had just casted someone through Klaus in this scene and like whatever. And it had not been Joseph Morgan. Like,
first of all, not being Joseph Morgan would have been such a fumble of the bag. Like, that would have been so bad.
Devastating.
But also, the season is so good because there's so much build up to who Klaus is going to be. And, again, crazy. I'm sure it was because, they hadn't really settled on an actor yet, whatever. Yeah. But, like, him being in Alaric's body. Like, there are so many iconic things just because, like, we haven't met Klaus yet.
Yeah.
So good.
It's
wow.
so crazy that they thought they were going to introduce him here. And then also... not even Klaus, is Elijah. Yeah. Imagine Elijah not existing. Like, that is the force of the originals, is Elijah and Klaus. Like, Stefan and Damon are to Vampire Diaries what Elijah and Klaus are to the originals.
Absolutely.
So it's just crazy to imagine a world in which his character didn't exist. Yeah. But I just love that, and I was thinking about that this whole episode where I was like, thank God they made all the right choices. Yeah, they really did. And so, of course, Elijah comes in. He's this classy man. He's got his little outfit on. And he's immediately so polite. He greets Rose with Rosemary.
Yes, must be her full name.
Yeah, and also like it's so proper and so like, wow, he's such a classy man, but like immediately terrifying.
Yeah, yeah. Like, when you get a full name, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a mother. It's like, oh my
yeah,
God,
exactly. Yeah,
he's for real.
Yeah, he's serious. But yeah, he comes in, he seats himself. He sits
makes
in this,
himself right at home.
Yeah, this big chair, and Rose says, we want to barter for our freedom, basically. And she mentions like, if you have the authority to do this, which again, I don't know, it's just so funny.
Like they haven't written stuff yet.
Yeah, they're even in the next episode. I'll talk about it a little bit more. But yeah, there are moments where it's like, they clearly, like you were saying, didn't know where they were going with this character.
Yeah.
So Rose, brings him in. Elijah sits in like this big chair. He just has such a presence already.
Oh yeah, commands the space for sure.
Yeah, and Rose asks if Elijah can grant him, pardon, basically. Yeah. And again, showing, they hadn't really decided what they were doing with the Elijah character. So I feel like in retrospecht, that's really...
I know it's silly, but it's also, he does say, he's like, I have full authority to do whatever I want.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's
not
true.
Inaccurate on his side.
Yeah.
It's inaccurate on Rose's side, which I think you can kind of still right away as being like, maybe Rose just doesn't know anything and he's just not bothering to correct her. It's kind of more like, they can play it off as that at least.
I think so. I have more to say about this in the next episode, so I'll save some of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of it next.
Yeah, and he says, yes, I can grant pardon to you, and what's his name? Like, what does he go by these days?
Yeah.
I feel like he's still Trevor in the flashback. I'm pretty sure that's still his name.
Yeah, I guess
but
I didn't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We're
just being like
who is he?
He's
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah, he's nothing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, Rose tells him, of course, that Katherine is still alive. She did not burn under the church, but more importantly, her bloodline lives on, and there's a new doppelganger.
Yeah, and they have her.
Yeah.
But they'll only take him to the doppelganger if Elijah gives his word that they're pardoned. Elijah always so specific with his words. He says, I don't remember exactly what he says. I should have written it down because the way he says it is like, I will grant you a pardon. Yes. It is not you and Trevor are pardoned. It is you get a pardon if this is true.
I know. I caught that watching it this time. Like, I mean, obviously we know from rewatching, like, he does not pardon Trevor. But I really caught the specificity of the words. And I thought it was interesting because...
How did Rose not
think that? Because she reaffirms, tell me you are going to pardon me if we do this. And he says, I will pardon. Yeah. Not like that, because that's obviously too obvious.
Yeah. But I think maybe her fear of herself getting killed blinded her of, like, also hearing and Trevor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, and also maybe just the fear of Elijah, because the thing I will say here, too, is, like, Daniel Gillies, so good. Like, he's so good as Elijah. And the way that he delivers this dialogue is so good. It's good dialogue, but he makes it even better by his delivery. And I think that also is what kind of believes you into, like, Rose is terrified. Like, it's just a miss because she's just probably not thinking that clearly. But it is, like, one of those moments retroactively where you're like, girl.
You should have known.
He said you are pardoned.
Yeah.
You
should have known.
So, but she takes him then to the doppelganger, to Elena, because he said she's pardoned. Yep. And, of course, Elijah, in his composed way, is surprised, is shocked. He runs in front of her.
Yeah, vamp speeds.
That's how you know.
He's curious.
And so he stops in front of her, and he realizes she is a human doppelganger to Katherine. And so, still with his extreme control and his extreme... I don't know. He's just such an interesting character. I love him so much.
He is.
And he leans in extremely close to her, and he smells her.
Yeah, he sniffs her.
And that's how he confirms she's human.
God, she's lucky. Yeah.
No. I'm like, to be her. And then, really to be hers, he smiles at her. Yeah. And he says, hello there.
Hello there.
It's so good to be her. Yeah. This is why people ship Elena and Elijah.
Yeah.
More so the later stuff, but in another life, these two, they have great chemistry. It's probably really part of what kept Elijah's character alive, honestly, was
I think so, yeah.
The chemistry that he had with Nina, I think, made it like, well, why kill him? He's great.
Yeah. No, he's a great character.
So, thankfully,
yeah.
Stefan and Damon.
Yeah. Stefan and Damon roll up. They park a little bit away, so, they obviously
they're in a field or something.
Yeah, they're a little way away. And, they pull out, and Damon sort of gives Stefan his one last chance to back out. He's like, are you sure you want to do this? because if we go in there, we might not come back out.
Yeah, whoever's in there has been after Katherine.
Yeah.
Meaning that they're probably
Exactly.
over 500 years old and strong.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, there's a chance we don't make it out of this. I also think it's funny, Damon says, I've got a little bit more experience with these things than you do. Damon, what experience do you have with anything even semi-similar to this? I have no idea. The tomb vampires,
Sure,
you think that's comparable to this situation? No.
I guess.
But anyway, they've got their bags, duffel bags of
Yeah.
Alaric's weapons, and, they agree, like, this is for Elena, like, we got to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, Stefan hits him with the, I can't think of a better reason to die.
Yeah.
Okay, drama.
Yeah,
Like,
Stefan is really drama in these few episodes. I'm like, okay, I get it, but also, like, bro.
I've been thinking about, like, where he's crying in the last episode. I'm like, this is where I'm like, okay, Stefan, you're really notching up the drama, like, a little too much.
Yeah, a little too much.
But anyway, he's ready to die for Elena.
And so is Damon, so they go.
Yeah, they both go, because, Stefan also says, you can back out too, but they both end up going in, obviously. So anyway, they're still outside, they're trekking through the meadow, whatever, and Elijah back inside is like, well, let's get going. Like, we gotta go, we gotta hit the road. Yeah. And Elena is like, she's obviously starting to freak out. She's like,
again, if you get kidnapped, you get taken to that point B, like, you're gone.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah, exactly. And, he says there's just one last bit of business that he has to attend to. Mm-hmm. And Elijah goes over to Trevor, and Trevor is immediately, like, groveling. He's like, I've been waiting for this day. I'm so sorry. Like, just...
And Elijah starts questioning his loyalty.
Yeah.
It's like, where is... Rose is loyal to you, I understand that. But where is your loyalty? Who are you loyal to? And we know loyalty is a big thing for Elijah.
Huge.
From the series, definitely in Vampires, it's really stated, but it's also really heavily stated in originals, his loyalty. We know where Elijah's loyalty is, and he chops off Trevor's head.
Literally, like, hand slices.
Yeah. It's a classic Elijah move. I feel like he does that a lot. The heart rip or the head chop. He does both a lot.
Yeah, he's ruthless.
He is ruthless. Again, this is one of those things that, as watching the originals, the red door, you're like, oh, God.
Yeah,
Elijah.
Wow. He's layered.
Yeah, he is layered.
Yeah.
But layered, too. It's, like, the violence and the composure. Mm-hmm. He does this, and he just, like, wipes his sleeve. Yeah. Rose is screaming, breaking down.
Yeah, Rose is so upset. Yeah, Elena's like, what did I just see?
Yeah.
But Rose obviously, like, cries out, and she tries to, like, move toward Elijah, sort of like toward Trevor also.
Yeah.
And Elijah's just like, don't. Yeah. Like, you're free.
Yeah.
You are free. Go. Like,
just
be done with this. And she sort of,
she's breaking down. She's devastated.
Yeah, she's devastated. She's breaking down, but she's like, obviously sees he's right. He can slice my head off with his hand too.
She can't go against Elijah.
Yeah.
So last ditch effort.
Yes.
Elena's like, shit, this is serious.
Like, uh-oh.
Yeah, whoops. Damon and Stefan are not standing a chance against this guy. So she's like, last ditch effort. She's like, I gotta reveal something. I gotta bark my way out of this.
Yeah.
She just yells out that she knows where the moonstone is and that he needs it. He's obviously surprised. He's like, what is going on? Are you trying to bargain with me? Rose is like, I don't know anything about this. Stop, Rose, don't look at me.
Like, please leave me out of this.
Yeah, I've got nothing to do with it. So it's just so funny. Elijah's like immediately just like commanding the whole thing. Yeah. And so then, he's like immediately just jumps to compelling Elena. He's like, I'm not playing this game. Just tell me where it is.
Yep.
And it doesn't work because she obviously has on her necklace that has vervain in it. He obviously realizes that, rips it off her, throws it.
He should also recognize the necklace as it belonged to his mother,
true.
But,
And
maybe
boys'
he didn't.
necklaces,
Yeah, boys.
1,000 years later.
Yeah, we can chalk that up to boys. Yeah. Although Rebecca did wear it until, like,
true,
the
20s.
1900s. Yeah.
Anyway,
it doesn't matter.
He's distracted. He's
distracted, yeah. And, of course, he rips off the necklace, which I've always thought, it makes no sense. Why would Elena not also be drinking vervain? We just saw what happened with Jenna.
The only thing is she got kidnapped, like, more than 12 hours ago at this point. It's probably been a good,
I guess that's true,
18, whatever, that if she had, vervain in her morning tea, it's been, like, way too
That's
many
true.
hours
I guess it's
now.
been a long time. Yeah.
I thought that too, though. I was like, I'm surprised she doesn't have vervain in her system actively, but I think it's been enough time that you're like, okay, we can write it off as like she missed her daily.
She missed her dose. Yeah, she missed her morning pill. Yeah.
Because like with Liz, we saw it takes pretty much like 24 hours to get it out of your system. So it's like, especially if you're not taking like a ton of it or anything.
Yeah.
So it's possible it just worked its way out of her system since she's been kidnapped. So he rips off the necklace and immediately compels her. And she tells him, you know, it's in the tomb.
With Katherine.
With Katherine. Yeah, she even he says, what's it doing there? And she says, it's with Katherine. Which, of course, Elijah's then like, yeah, like 2 for 1.
He's like, ooh, nice.
Yeah. Moonstone and Katherine Pierce. Great. Suddenly, they hear a noise in the house, like upstairs, you know, which gets Elijah to like start dragging Elena. He grabs onto her, like, I'm not losing her.
Yep.
And Rose, he also grabs her and drags them to the front of the house, like where the noise was. And, you know, Stefan and Damon, the, you know, expert coordination here is shocking. When did they plan this?
I know, they were, I have no idea. Yeah, between little digs at each other about how bad they are. Yeah,
I don't know. But, you know, they do it perfectly. They are like running around. They're up here, down here. And they're like, you know, whooshing all over the place. And it's perfect because it distracts Elijah. They're able to grab each of the ladies as they're like running around. So like Stefan gets Elena and Damon gets a hand on Rose. And, you know, they're doing this perfect thing. And Elijah, just classic Elijah, he's calling out threats. He's grabbing like a coat stand or whatever and turning it into a weapon. He's like turning it into the biggest steak you've ever seen.
Yes.
And he's like yelling out like, whoever you are, if you think you can beat me, you can't.
Yep.
He's perfect.
He's so good.
The one thing I will say here is his accent was funny to me. It almost kind of sounded more like American.
Yeah,
like,
I thought that too. He sounds pretty American in this episode.
Yeah, I don't know if they nailed down like what he was going to be. And also I've noticed like all the originals have said that about their first episodes where they're like, they didn't tell us what I was supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
They all just had to figure it out.
Hello, brother.
I always think about them, Cole. Yeah, they did not tell him what accent he had to do, so he just thought he was going to be American.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were not prepping these people. They were like,
watch that Cole clip after this.
Yeah, I love that clip.
But yes, I noticed that about his accent too. It's not really like nailed down. It's basically like Americanish.
Yeah, it is a bit more. And so he's calling out the threats. Elena comes out, you know, hands kind of wrapped around herself, and she's like, don't hurt my friends, I'll come with you.
They were just trying to help.
Yeah. But she was concealing a vervain grenade, so she unpins it and throws it right in Elijah's face. Obviously, that stops him enough. Although I'm sure he's like, you know, pretty good with vervain usually, but like a bomb going off in your face, that's enough to stop him.
Yeah, but even then, it's like only barely.
Like 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's like a couple seconds, and his face heals, and he's back in it, and you know,
he starts proceeding towards Elena.
Yeah,
he's like cowering.
Yeah, he keeps moving towards Elena, and of course,
Stefan with
his steak gun. Yeah, he shoots at Elijah. One gets in his arm. It does not faze him. He just pulls it out.
Yeah,
and you know the steak gun isn't working, so eventually, you know,
Stefan tackles him. He like rolls. They're rolling down the stairs.
He remembers his football days. He's going for the sack, and he tumbles down the stairs with Elijah. And of course, this is like, you know, Elijah gets the upper hand, but then fortunately Damon comes out of nowhere with like the huge coat rack steak.
Yeah, he grabbed that.
And like backs Elijah up to the door. And like pins him up against the wall and stakes him.
Stakes him through the heart with it. Yay, Elijah's dead.
Yeah. Phew.
Good job,
Glad
guys.
we got him early. Took him out of the picture.
And so, so they've staked Elijah. Threat is neutralized.
Yep.
And Damon starts to turn to, like, run after Rose because she's, like, standing right there. But Rose, like, speeds away. And Elena says, don't. Like, she's fine.
Let her go. Yeah.
And then, you know, of course, he's looking at Elena, who's standing at the top of the stairs so lovingly. And she starts to run down the stairs. And it's like he's ready to embrace her. And then Stefan swoops in front of him and, you know, embraces Elena. And they're hugging. And Damon looks so devastated. Like, it's just such a blow. I think it's like a twofold thing where it's like, obviously he's devastated because he thought she was going to hug him, but then I feel like it's also the devastation of being like, why would I think why would I think
it was me? Yeah.
Why did I let myself hope for 2 seconds that she was running down those stairs to hug me?
Definitely.
So I think Elena kind of realizes that too, because she makes eye contact with him over Stefan's shoulder, and she mouths thank you to him and acknowledging that, like, you know, I don't know. It's like a sad but cute moment.
It is, because Damon mouths back like, "You're welcome."
Yeah,
it's a cute little moment. Like,
it's
it obviously hurts, but
it kills me every time.
Yeah.
Also, let's just acknowledge while we're still on this scene, the fact that Stefan and Damon were able to kill Elijah to this extent, even is shocking in retrospect.
Yeah.
Like, it was perfectly coordinated. I think that's the only reason that even now it's, like, believable is, like, I guess Elijah didn't know that there were two of them there somehow.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I think it was they had the element of surprise. Like, yes, I don't think Elijah was expecting for them to show up at all.
Yeah.
He didn't know it was going to be two people. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. And Elena did catch him off guard with the vervain grenade. Yeah. Like,
but still, it's like the fact that they were able to pull off all of that to surprise
pretty
Elijah is shockingly impressive.
Yeah.
Any other scenario, like the rest of the series, there's no way either of them ever could have taken on Elijah ever again.
Absolutely not.
So, because after that, he would know where Stefan is, Damon is, and vice versa. Like, there's no surprising him after that point. But yeah, it's pretty impressive, honestly, that they even get this far, even though it's not going to be the end, of course.
Of course not. Yeah.
But it is the end for now because back at the Gilbert house, we see Bonnie. She's napping on Jeremy's bed. And he's just sitting there kind of looking at her. It's cute. They're having a moment.
They're having a little moment.
And, of course, Elena finally arrives home. Definitely worse for wear. That pink shirt is definitely never going to get stain out of that. It's going straight in the trash. And, you know, they jump up to greet her. Elena tells Bonnie that she got her message. So clearly that, like, meant a lot and was successful. Yeah. Don't know if it was worth Bonnie passing out and her nose bleeding, but it happened.
Hard to say. Yeah.
So Elena and Bonnie hug. Jeremy and Elena hug. All is right. She's made it home.
Though, I have to say, this hug was a little siblings are dating for me. It was a little too much.
I didn't notice it. I don't remember.
Stephen he did a little back rub. I was like, oh, interesting. Interesting.
I'm gonna have to rewatch
it's not that bad. Like, I'm embellishing a little, but still, I did notice. So I was like, interesting.
I'd have to rewatch.
Yeah.
It's always funny to see like the sibling dynamics of actors when it's like, obviously they're not siblings.
Yeah, they're not siblings. So it doesn't matter.
They're the ones that actually do date each other too. I think luckily these two never dated as far as I know, but
I'm not sure. Could have. I don't know.
They could have.
Who knows?
Lots of years on a set, so
true.
Knows? But I don't think they did. So hopefully that vibe's not. It's not usually there. I will say.
No, it's usually not, and it's really not that bad. Like, it's not so bad. But I did have a moment. I was like, interesting.
Ooh, Jeremy. I'm gonna rewatch that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Speaking of siblings.
Yeah. Good transition.
Yeah. Trying to do my little segue. Damon and Stefan are back at the Salvatore house, and they sort of, Stefan is like, we have to keep Elena safe, and they are sort of in agreement, but Stefan says, if we're going to actually keep Elena safe, we can't let her come between us like Katherine did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, Damon tries to walk away. He's not really trying to have this conversation. Yeah, he's having none of this, and, they've agreed to keep her safe. Let's leave it at that. And, Stefan, as Damon's walking away, apologizes for making Damon turn, back in 1864. Mm-hmm. And, you see Damon, like, pauses, and he's like, we don't have to rehash this. Like, we really don't have to do this. But Stefan says, you know what, I've never actually said it out loud, and I just need you to hear it. Yeah. I'm sorry. Like, he just...
Yeah. It's a real proper verbal apology. Yeah. Like, something he really did that was very wrong.
Yeah. And he says, it was selfish of me, but I guess I just needed my brother.
Yeah. That line kills me. He says, it was selfish. I just didn't want to be alone, and I really needed my brother. Yeah. It's so sweet. It's so honest. And we'll talk about it in the next scene a little bit later, but it really moves Damon. It means a lot to him.
He needed to hear this. Yeah.
Oh, 1,000%. I'm honestly shocked that it didn't get said in episode 120 when, and when we learned about it, that it happened in that flashback episode. I'm shocked that he didn't really say it in that one, but this is the first time he's really apologizing for it, and it means a lot.
It does, definitely.
And Damon's obviously so moved, he removes himself from the situation. Yep. He can't acknowledge these feelings.
Yes, like, I'm not ready for this.
So Stefan's left alone. They had been having a drink, so he's, like, cleaning up their drinks or whatever, maybe refreshing his, when he hears the vampire zooming. Yeah, we always know the whooshes. Yeah. And, he sees that somebody's in the house. He gets a steak ready, and it's Rose. Rose has come into the house, and she reveals that she was friends with Lexi. She actually confirms that it was Lexi who had tried to set her up with Stefan. And, that without Trevor, she's alone. Again, the theme of the episode, we should just start a club with Tyler, Bonnie, Jeremy, and Rose, because they all need to form this lonely committee. Everyone's bringing it up.
No, they really do. Yeah.
So, anyway, so she's alone, and, Rose offers to Stefan that they're going to need her help. He's like, I don't need your help. And she's he's like, I'm not gonna help you.
Yes.
And she's like,
you need me.
Yeah, you
need me,
not
sister.
The other way around,
yeah, I
brother.
don't think so. Yeah, exactly.
And she's like, Elijah being dead is literally just the start of it. Like, that didn't end anything.
Yeah.
Which also, again, like, I think this helps with the whole, like, they hadn't figured it out, but also, like, this clearly indicates Rose doesn't know everything that she's saying Elijah's dead. So clearly Rose is not that in the know. And that the originals, you know, are going to be coming.
Yeah, this is not over. Yeah.
So, you know, then.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't cut too soon.
Yeah, don't cut away too soon, because then Rose gives us the first Klaus name drop. She says, you know, the originals will be coming for you. They'll have to, because they're all going to be doing it for him.
Yeah.
Stefan's like, who? Klaus. Oh my god.
And scene.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
It is perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, really teeing me up.
Of perfect. Oh my god. This is like one of my favorite scenes in the show. Like, it's a iconic moment for me, this next scene.
It's so iconic to me, but I will say it's realistically more iconic for me when Elena gets her memories back and twice plays by little.
That's what I was gonna say too. Is it's more iconic the second time.
Yeah.
But that means the first time is inherently iconic.
Exactly.
It's contributing to the
Very
second
true.
time. So what happens is, of course, one of the most iconic Elena scenes ever.
Oh, for sure.
Elena is getting ready for bed. She comes out of the bathroom to find that Damon is sitting in her room, and you know, he's waiting for her. He's got her necklace. He found her necklace in the house after Elijah ripped it off, and he's sitting there holding it. And she goes to take her necklace back, but he kind of pulls it away from her, and he says that before he gives it to her, there's something that he needs to say. And she's like, why do you need to say it while you have my necklace?
Yep. Fearing the worst, of course.
Of course. And he says, because it's the most selfish thing that I've ever said, which, kills me. And immediately I think then Elena knows what he's about to say, and she's kind of trying to stop him.
Yeah, she says, don't go there.
Yeah,
don't
she's
do
like,
this.
don't say it.
Yeah.
And I had to write this quote down exactly, so I'll say it exactly how he says it, because it's so good. He says, no, I just have to say it once. You need to hear it. I love you, Elena, and it's because I love you that I can't be selfish with you. Why you can't know this, I don't deserve you, but my brother does. Oh my god.
I feel like my heart is in pieces.
Yeah, he just hit everything he needed to hit there. You know, it's like, it's not only that he told Elena that he loves her and then erased it. It's that I love you, but like, I love you so much that I cannot be selfish about how I feel for you, because I see you with my brother and I know that he deserves you more than I do. And it's just like, that whole thing in and of itself is just so perfect. And he leans forward and he kisses her forehead. And he compels her to forget.
Yeah.
He just makes her forget, and he just disappears. And she's just left standing there in the room. Her necklace is mysteriously suddenly around her neck.
Yes.
And the song is just like going like, oh, 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 oh.
It's
so good.
It's everything. Which also, two things. Like, not only, you know, is he like, my brother deserves you. You deserve to be with him. I can't be selfish with you.
Yeah.
Both because, you know, Stefan has now made this apology, and he knows he is the better man. Well, whether he is or not, but in Damon's mind, he is.
Yeah.
But also, like, he knows what it's like to have someone be selfish with you and your feelings.
Yes.
Because Stefan is right. It was selfish of him to force Damon to turn when Damon didn't want to. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, again, like we said before, Damon needed to hear that apology so badly.
He
like,
needed to hear it so badly.
He needed that so badly. And then also, I just wanted to call out when he's compelling Elena, they zoom in on like his eye, and there's like a single tear.
I know, the perfect singular tear welling up single and falling tear down. Yeah, it's so emotional.
It's so emotional.
It really kills me how like connected this scene is to that Stefan scene, and honestly, I don't think that had really ever hit me as hard as it did this time.
Same,
like,
yeah.
I knew it was there, I guess, like that they both happened, but like this was the first time in my brain where it really clicked, and I think it's partially because we're like analyzing them so heavily this watch that like. I don't know. This was the first time I'd really realized how big of a cement moment of like Stefan apologizing to Damon was to say like, we're officially good. Like that was what I needed from you, and I'm going to support you now. And like, I don't know. It's such like a final moment in like making them family again, making them friends again. That apology was so much. And it's enough that Damon also backs off of Elena, that he like is willing to like say I love you and like release her. Yeah. It's so important to their dynamic. It's so important. Yeah. It's insane. It's like, it's such a perfect moment all around. Like he desperately wanted to say this to her, and she wasn't ready to hear it is also what I think is interesting, that like he couldn't have left her with this and not erased it.
Yeah,
not only because it's selfish, but also because like she couldn't
handle that. No.
But of course, like we already mentioned, the implications that this scene has on the future, I think, are huge.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, when she gets this memory back, I feel
it changes like everything, I think.
I feel like that's a complete game changer to see how selfless he was like this whole time. Like, I mean, obviously Elena kind of knows Damon is interested in her, attracted to her, maybe even loves her. But like
the confirmation
for him to have said it and then have been willing to walk away for Stefan.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. That's Elena's whole thing. She loves selfless people.
She loves selflessness. Yeah, that's her whole thing.
And so to see that Damon like did this in an act of selflessness, but also acknowledged it, was like, I can't be selfish with you.
Yep.
And that's why, because I'm sure Elena she knew that he was attracted to her, but I'm sure she always wondered, like, why didn't Damon ever, like, why hasn't he pushed it harder or farther? Because he was in, like, you know, season 1 and 2.
He did a few times,
And 2, when he tried to kiss her in the first episode and then killed Jeremy.
True,
like, he was being pretty, like, you know, forceful, I suppose, with her, of, like, how much he was interested in her. And then just suddenly stops. And I'm sure she wondered. And then when she turned, this is the confirmation of, like, because he realized, like, that it would hurt Stefan.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just so moving.
There's so much to get out of this little scene. I'm like...
We can talk about it forever, but the good thing is we'll get to talk about it again.
We'll have round 2. Let's go.
So, just the best scene. I'm so excited for twice. That's also what makes this so much better, is that you know that it happens again.
Yeah.
So
good.
Then, really the perfect ending. If that ending wasn't perfect enough, now we get brought with the best plot twist, probably one of the best plot twists of the show, maybe. Not as good as, like, Katherine, but it's up there. If like, this is a great plot twist. Because, of course, we see back at the abandoned house, we get the big reveal that, you know, Elijah, close enough. Elijah, who's been staked in the heart, you know, he's dead on the wall, is not dead. He starts to undesiccate. The gray is going away. He wakes up enough to pull the stake out of himself and drop it to the ground, and clearly is alive and perfectly well, and clearly this is just the beginning. Like, this is just the start of everything. Screw, like, Klaus coming and finding them at some random point. Elijah's on their trail.
Yeah, now they're marked. Yeah.
My jaw was on the floor watching this for the first time, I have to say.
I was like what?
Like, it's such a game changer. You are like, there are rules, and now they're taking these originals and breaking every single rule. And it's like, it just completely, like, destroys all expectations and, like, turns everything on its head, and you have no idea what's going on. It's great. And so, I just really vividly remember watching this for the first time and being like, what is happening? This is the scene that also makes me want to find someone to force to watch it for the first time with me, because I want to see their reaction to this.
To live through it with them.
I want to see someone see this for the first time. So I think this is one of the best twists of the show, besides Katherine being Elena in the, like, season 1 finale. But this is, like, one of the best, where it's like, he's alive.
Yeah, this... It's really not over,
Yeah, you can't just stake an original. It's great.
Nope. Yeah.
So that is our big ending cliffhanger plot twist is, staking Elijah through the heart did nothing. He's alive.
Yeah, he's not dead. Unlike Trevor, who was killed by Elijah. Our only death for this episode.
Yeah, we had a psych out Elijah. I don't know if those technically count a little bit as deaths, or if they're just, like, naps.
I don't know.
I don't think it's like Alaric or Jeremy where they, like, kind of technically die.
I don't think so. Like, seems like it's, like, kind of like a nap.
Yeah, almost like the desiccating from, like, hunger, where you just kind of, like,
you're just kind of
fall asleep.
You're I don't know if I would count it.
So Trevor is the one.
We'll just say Trevor.
Beheading.
Next
is our out of pocket, which I gotta say, this is the first for me. I have nothing. This is truly my perfect episode.
No, literally, I wrote in my notes, no notes.
Yeah, like, no notes.
I have not one note. Yeah, no.
It's truly the perfect episode. There's nothing I would have done differently from a writer's perspective. Honestly, from the characters too. There's, like, nothing. Like, maybe a little Caroline Tyler, but even then, I'm like, it's so good. I don't want to change
it's so
anything.
good. No. Yeah, I feel the same. I was like, this is my perfect episode. Also, I was like, I don't have anything. Like,
it's just there's nothing to change. There's nothing to change. There's also like significantly less teenage drama type things going on in this episode. Yeah, that always helps. So that helps with like being like, nobody was just being crazy.
Yeah, no one was just being out of pocket. Yeah.
Yeah. So no winners for this out of pocket.
Yeah, no.
But I would say like on the opposite side of things is quotes. There's good quotes in this one.
Yeah, there are a lot of good quotes. I only went with one because
me too.
Otherwise, I was like, it just doesn't compare for me. But I think we're gonna have potentially different ones. But
interesting.
I wanted to go with Elijah's quote. Ooh. "Excuse me, to whom it may concern. You're making a grave mistake if you think you can beat me."
Okay, that's a great one, though. I actually love that quote. That's definitely one I would recall. My quote, of course, was Damon's.
Yeah, I figured that's what you were thinking.
Which is basically a paragraph. It's not even a quote.
That's the reason I didn't choose it, because it was like a whole monologue. I was like,
it is a whole monologue.
Yeah.
You know, let's give to Elijah, because I do love that quote, and it's his first episode. We've got to honor him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so we can give it to Elijah. I thought that was a good one.
Awesome. Elijah, best quote.
Yeah.
Then... same kind of thing with the songs. I actually liked a lot of the songs in this one.
Yeah, like I said, I liked all those songs that played in Damon's car. Like, there were a lot of good songs, but I only chose one.
I chose one, but it hurt me.
Yeah, it was hard.
There are two songs in this episode that are like some of my favorites, like I listen to a lot and really love.
Yeah.
And so I was very, very torn between two songs that I just adore. But I did nominate two others, so I have three.
Okay, then you go, because you have way more than I do.
Okay, let me do some nominees. So I did want to nominate, I'm assuming you're not going to say this one because it's a strange one, is In My Veins by Andrew Bell, which plays when Bonnie and Jeremy talk.
I was thinking of giving that an honorable mention because I really, really liked it. It just works.
It's just a good song. And it's when Elena gets the note too. Like, it kind of perfectly fits the vibe of like they're just singing about like, you're in my head, you're in my veins, and like it has that wistfulness to the moment of Elena being trapped in this house and getting this note from her friends. It's really good.
It worked well. I did think about that one. Yeah.
The other one I nominated was, like you said, Damon had great songs playing in his car.
He did.
So I did nominate Blood by Eden when Stefan and Damon are driving in the car. I really liked that one. I thought it was like a fun, brothers drinking blood and pumping up to go save their girl, their shared girl.
Their shared girl, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah.
So I haven't hit any of your nominees
yet.
No. Okay, that's what I thought. The other two is where I'm very split.
Okay, interesting.
And so I'm assuming you have a winner and a nominee.
No, I just have a winner.
Just a winner.
If I was going to do an honorable mention, I was thinking In My Veins, but I liked the song that I'm going to choose enough that I was like, it's just that. It's just that.
Okay, well, I'm curious because you've been on the sentimental route. So,
I didn't go sentimental.
So we've split then because I went sentimental.
Uh-oh.
So my nominee is Wolf Like Me, TV on the Radio.
Oh, that was my winner. I just love that song. It's just so good.
You see what I was saying? I was so split. Honestly, maybe we should make this the tie because I love that song. I love TV on the Radio.
Yeah, TV on the Radio. I also love when they reuse artists.
Yes.
They do a few of their songs. I don't think we've had one yet, but...
Yeah, this is the first TV on the Radio.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I love that song. I just normally would listen to it. That's how good it is.
I do listen to this song a lot. Like, it's definitely in the Vampire Diaries playlist that we listen to a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
The Vibing with Damon Salvatore.
Yeah.
And so... Yeah, I was so split. I think for me it was that the moment, it's just Tyler playing basketball is when this plays.
That's true. It's pretty whatever moment.
But I like that it's like Wolf.
Yeah, Wolf Like Me. I'm like, it just works.
It's great placement.
Yeah.
So that was the one I was split over that I was like genuinely like, I want to make it a tie so badly.
Yeah.
Because for me, the winner was I Was Wrong by Sleeper Star. Yeah, Sleeper Star. I Was Wrong by Sleeper Star plays when Damon and Elena, of course, have their moment at the end, and he compels her to forget. And I just always really liked that, like the when he disappears and she's standing there, and I just love that song. I think it's a song I listen to. That's like definitely been on my Vampire Diaries playlist for a decade.
Yeah.
So
that's
I don't
a good
know.
one too. We could do a tie. I'm not opposed.
I think this is the one where we cheat and have a tie because I feel like we've had a lot of I don't want to say flops. There's no bad songs, but I would pick both of these songs over half of the other songs we've given winners to so far.
That's true. Yeah. I feel the same. I'm okay doing a tie. Why not?
I think we've got our first tie.
Yeah. Really faked you guys out. You thought we were going for a poll, but we were going for the tie.
No, because last time we did a poll, you guys tied. It was the exact same amount of votes for both songs. So there has been a tied one before. I saw that. Episode 5, I think, because they didn't agree. You guys tied it. So we're not trusting you this time. It's just a tie.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah.
So anyway, both of those songs, I Was Wrong and Wolf Like Me, will be added to the Spotify playlist we have that has every winner of best song of each episode. Yeah. So you can go listen to all of those songs. You can also find there our TikTok and our Instagram, which links to when we do polls and when we have other, clips and memes and fun things that we share there. So you can join the conversation on TBD.
Yeah, definitely. And you can listen to the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And you can watch the video version on YouTube if you're not already. So join us next week for season 2, episode 9, Katharina.
Oh, what an iconic episode.
Yeah, all of Katherine's backstory. A lot of flashbacks, very flashback heavy.
Yeah, very flashback
it's a
heavy.
Good one.
1400s, as far as we've gone, is 1864
Yeah, that's
so far.
true.
So,
yeah, we're really throwing it back.
Yeah, see you next week in the 1400s.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching and or listening to this episode. We'll see you next week for Katharina.
Bye.